Hey guys, time for an update on the 12 by 12 timber frame pond. We're out here this morning getting shit done, and realized it's been several weeks since we last updated you, and almost a month since we put it in. The ecosystem is coming along, and there's some really good, and then there's some not good yet. I'm not going to say it's bad because it's just how long it takes for aquatic ecosystems to develop. A lot of things have happened though. I want to show you a couple things going on. One, I think I showed this water lily, this dwarf water lily, in the last video, but there was only 2 or 3 pads up, and you can see it's starting to grow really good. And down here in the water, we've got 1, 2, and there's a third one down there. You probably can't see, it's still spiked. So I've been noticing about a new pad making surface break every day for the last week since it's really started to warm up. It has been getting warmer, but we've still been having cold nights, so the water's actually still really cool. And some of these plants really do want the water to be warmer to take off. A plant I'm pretty sure we added after the last video is this guy here. Pond Megastore sells this. They call it Botswana Wonder. And it's supposed to grow at least 6 feet long, and then you can just make more of it by taking cuttings off of it. It's a surface vegetation plant. It can be grown true floating, or it can be anchored. I've got these 2 anchored, the rest floating. They seem to be doing about the same. And they get a really pretty yellow flower on them. And they're basically sensitive plant, a giant version of what they call sensitive plant. So when you touch them, remember if you and your little kids used to think this is really neat, they close up. So that's been added. Something's been added you can't see. Channel catfish. I put about 50 fingerling channel catfish about that long into the pond about a week ago, and they actually came up and ate for me the first time last night. It took about them a week to settle in, and we fed them some floating pellet feed, and they came up and ate for us. My 2 taro plants, some people call them elephant ears, but they're actually taro. Margarita taro and the blue Hawaiian taro. This is the margarita, they call it. Both look pretty sick because they were just planted last time. You can see now we got new growth coming up. They'll take off and do really good. This one really looked bad, but we got 1 new leaf on it. We're off to the races, so they'll be beautiful in just a few weeks. All the corkscrew rush is kind of coming back. Here's what I was saying: it's not bad, but it's just not good yet. If you look at these water plants here, see how yellow they are? Even the duckweed isn't bright green like it is in my other ponds. That's just because there's not enough nutrient in this pond yet. It's just going to take time as the fish settle in. Oh, on the fish, I also dropped in, I think, about 50 red ear sunfish, also known as shell crackers. So I've been pumping snails into here because they love to eat snails, and I've been trying to get the snail population up. I don't know where they go. I must have put honest to God, 1,000 snails. There's one of the little red ears. The dude that sold them to me said he gave me 130 instead of the 100 I paid for, because he knew some of them were going to die from having been on the truck a while. And that has proved to be true, but I think he did me right. 30 was about the right extra amount of them. Anyway, so the red ear sunfish are in here. I also put 10 of them in each of the round garden ponds, and I put 10 of them in the other aquaponics system. Some of the channel cats, some extra channel cats went in there. They went in both of the round ponds, and they went in the 8x8 Miyagi timber frame pond as well. So now we got the fish going. This is another water lily. I think this is new since the last video. Instead of planting them in the round containers they sell for them, I wanted more space for more rooting to go on. So this is one of the 14-gallon mixed concrete mixing trays you can get at Home Depot for like $7, and it's full of soil, and then it's capped with gravel so that the soil doesn't leach out into the pond. And little lympholia plant down there. So everything's kind of just, you know, moving along. The water irises are starting to take off. This is the they call it red beans, Louisiana water iris. That's looking real good. You notice anything that's in a pot is all nice and bright green, and that's because it's not relying solely on the water for nutrient the way that the floating vegetation is. So you know, we'll get there with it. It's just a time thing. It's how every other pond I've ever done is gone. Our water wisteria is looking pretty good there. A little minnow. Yeah, and I put about a pound, yeah, a full pound, maybe a pound and a half of fathead minnows in here, along with the ambrosia mosquito fish. So this thing, when I come out here in the evening and I throw fish food out, it looks like it's just simmering. It doesn't look like it's boiling like the big fish do, but it just looks like it's like a simmering tea kettle. And the Shubunkin goldfish, Shubunkin goldfish. I don't know why I can't say that today. They have really taken to being tamed, man. They're, I mean, I could pick up out of water at this point. And that's just, I've been feeding them like 3 or 4 times a day, and every time I feed them, the hand goes in the water. So now the hand is food. And there's a couple koi. Like I said last time, they were really shy. They've kind of, you know, fish mimic each other. So when the goldfish tamed up real quick, the koi lost their fear. So we got that platinum koi and that creamsicle koi. You know, when they get big enough and tame enough that I know it won't wear off. Because a lot of times you get fish tame like this in a tank, you put them in a pond and that's it. They're gone. They disappear forever. We want these guys to be like puppy dogs. I think it'll be cool when I have like my grandkids over or friends come with kids. You can just walk up and feed these guys out of your hand. I think, you know, that's a good way to break through to people about doing cool stuff like this, is the enjoyment that you get out of it, not just the productivity. People are actually, I think, more motivated by joy and pleasure and beauty than they are by productivity anymore, because we live in a world where things are so abundant that if you had to, you could live on about $200 a year, 3 meals a day on ramen noodles. I know nobody wants to do that, but when you live in a world that's got that much ability to trade your labor for dollars and your dollars for sustenance, unless you kind of are a little bit different like most of us are, it's hard to get a person motivated just because, well, food will come out of this. But when you show them what it can become, you know, and then food's a byproduct, right? So the fish, as they grow, they're a byproduct of food. Things like this water spinach just starting to come up. This is the best way I've found to grow this stuff. You get it anchored into soil and it grows really long. It's in the morning glory family. And when it grows out really long, you let it go into the water. So it has both water and soil, and then it goes nuts. I've had it with stalks bigger than my thumb. We'll eat that all summer once this starts growing. Just for the heck of it, I tossed a little watercress cutting in here, and it's not happy. It's probably getting too much sun. And all those little bitty things, I threw some watercress seed in here just for the hell of it. I don't think it'll do really well, but you never know. Once this spinach comes in, it'll shade that pretty good. It might grow understory, we'll see. There's the variegated Japanese water iris. Anyway, that's where we're at with it now. Still got to get it stained, get the top rails finished, because I only have them like loosely attached right now, because I want to take them off. I don't want to stain them and have stain go into the pond. So we got to get it stained. Still got to get a bobcat out here and clean this stuff up. It is a dadgone wreck right now from the excavation we did to put this in. As much as it's out of the ground, just going to put it in the ground, you know, here. And that's, people are like, why did you do it out of the ground? Well, one, it's cool. It's a hangout place. It's a bar. It's 48 feet of bar top. That's the way I look at it for hanging out, especially when you get all the lighting in. But this is why right here, guys. You just are not digging a hole here very deep. This is that first layer of limestone, and it's old and kind of gnarly, and you can take an excavator and pull it right out. Once you pull that out, it's a slab. On the other side on the property, we had a 38-ton excavator that could barely break any of it out, and that's a big machine to not be able to break stuff out. It was doing it, but the guy was also like, hey, you know, let me tell you, this is a very expensive piece of equipment, and I'm not risking it anymore on this stuff. So that's why we did the box. Is this right everywhere? No. You know, it's up to you what you want to do. I would tell you that, you know, if I could dig a hole here, I might have brought the rail only up to about there and gone 4 foot down and made it 8 foot deep. But I got to tell you, I like this. This is kind of a natural hangout place. As soon as we got this thing built, all it was is surrounded with people. And it wasn't even, you know, starting to come together yet. By the end of summer, when you look at this, it's going to feel like it's been here 20 years, the way that it's going to look once it grows in. And like I said, I think for a lot of people, getting them started into doing things with producing their own food and putting in things for nature in their own backyards is more about recreation, joy, and beauty than food for them. And I believe in using whatever motivates people, because you know what else this does? People worry about mosquitoes all the time. Trust me, folks, you see that? See that shimmer in there? There ain't gonna be no mosquitoes in here. There's literally an army of mosquito fish living in here. But what they won't kill off, because they have a totally different life cycle the way they live in the water, is dragonfly nymphs. And I've already been out here some evening and seen just dozens and dozens of gorgeous dragonflies flying around. And it's only been in a month. You know what dragonflies love to eat? Mosquitoes. So there's so much habitat creation even in something like this. We put in some leopard frog tadpoles as well. You know, whether they make it or not, I don't know, but if 2 or 3 of them turn into frogs, we're golden. If not, I'll catch them and throw them in there. There is one thing you give up when you do this, and that's we don't have kind of things that can come from outside in and back, like, you know, frogs and toads and stuff like that, but we have other places where that's possible. So if you have any questions about this pond, how things are going, why we did what we did, post them in the comments below and I'll try to get you an answer. And if you look up the playlist, I'll put in the show notes, you can see all the previous videos. This is your first one about our aeration system and whatnot. With that, Charlie, we got to get to work, don't we, buddy? He's not going to get to work, but I am. Got a podcast to produce. On that note, if you like this sort of thing, you'll probably like my podcast called The Survival Podcast, and you can find it at tspc.co.